Hello, we are on. Good evening, everyone,
Hello.
and welcome to the greatest blueprint. I am Dr. Kathleen Walls.
And I am Deana Davis, licensed social worker and self love coach.
Yes. All right. I'm trying to see why I'm hearing an echo.
Oh, I don't hear it.
Hmm. It's delayed.
Let me take my Wi Fi off.
Okay. Let me make sure I don't have too many open and it's hitting me in different places. All right, good evening, everyone. We have a couple of technical difficulties here going on, so we're trying to see what's going on.
Okay.
Okay, I
Is
think
that
I found
better?
it. I found it.
Okay.
It was an open tab. All right. Welcome to the greatest blueprint. We we can talk now without hearing. I can talk now without hearing us in the delay. So
Okay,
how are you
gotcha.
doing, Miss Davis? What's going on this evening?
I am well. Getting into the flow of school and adjusting to that schedule, and dance is getting ready to start, so preparing for that. Just being a
Mm-hmm.
mom and a therapist and
Mm-hmm.
everything else that I do.
Okay.
How are you?
I
What have
am
you been up
doing
to?
well. Look, getting into the flow of things as well.
Mhm.
Good evening. Good evening, Regina. Thank you so much for that sound check. We appreciate it. Other people who are joining us, if you can just put in the chat that you're in here, where you're in here from, we greatly appreciate it. We are excited that everyone is joining us this evening. I'm starting to get text messages from people letting me know that they're on. So
Okay.
So that's good to know also. All right. So tonight's topic is one that you brought to us, and you were like, all right, let's talk about this.
Hmm.
But before we jump into the topic, please know that we want to know how people have been doing on their goals. So for those who have joined us the first Tuesday this month, which was September 5th,
Hmm.
you chose a goal that you were going to work on.
Yep.
And we let you know we're going to hold you accountable to those goals. So mine was to do three green juices for 3 days, at least 3 days in a row.
Hmm.
So each week. So I've done my goal and I've even added chlorophyll to my life.
Okay. Hmm.
And Edna Warren of the Health Zone, she sells chlorophyll, so you can purchase it from her. I actually drank 50 ounces of it today.
Wow.
So I got my, so if I look green to y'all, it's because I got my,
Yes.
I got my green in. All right.
Right.
How have you been with with yours?
I've been doing pretty good. My goal was to juice for the first half of the day and then
Mm-hmm.
eat a meal for the second half of the day. And I
Mm-hmm.
pretty much have been sticking to it. Today, I really didn't drink any juice. I just drank water. And then I think for the second half, I had like a meal. My
Okay.
other goal was to create a reel per day. I kind of laxed on that because I had my ups and downs periods, but then when I'm on, I'm on. So then I created like 5 reels in one day. So I have something to pop out. But yes, for the most part, yeah, I've been doing really good with the juicing and the eating cleaner. I think it's yesterday will be 1 month since I haven't had any red meat or chicken, or turkey or poultry. And so I just been
Wow.
eating seafood and juicing and vegetables and fruit. So
All
yes.
right, fantastic. Hey Shay, it's good to see you. Yes, you text me.
Hello.
You text me when you're ready. All right, and there is Anna, the owner of Modern Relics. So when
Mm-hmm.
people see me wearing the big crystal necklace or my ring here,
Mm-hmm.
that is made by Modern Relics, and Anna is that owner. So definitely check out her page when you get a chance.
Yes.
And Relics is and Anna, do me a favor, put the spelling of Modern Relics in there so people can check it out
Mm-hmm.
on Etsy as well as on Instagram. Hey Rodney, how are you? Good to see you. All right. So we got a full house in here tonight. I'm super excited. So again, you were joined us for the first show, we identified goals. So we're here to hold y'all accountable. All right. Hey, Sham, peace and blessings. Make sure that you, hey, Chris, peace and blessings to you as well. Make sure that you identify a goal that you want to work on. We are here the first and third Tuesday of every month. This gives you pacing. This also gives you active accountability to whatever that goal is. So if you have not identified a goal yet that you want to work on, make sure that you do. Deana, tell them what they need to have as we get ready to jump in.
Please have your notebooks and your pen ready because we are always dropping gems, and once we drop them, sometimes we release them. So we like for you to be able
Catch
to
them.
record them.
That's right. As an athlete, I say catch and carry. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So those who are football players are into the game. Make sure when you catch what we got, and then it's up to you to carry it. All
Yeah.
right. We don't want you to fumble it, and we don't want it to get intercepted. We want you to score that touchdown. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Go on, girl. Give them that topic.
So the topic for tonight is ways that we allow for our power to be taken from us, whether it be from people, places, things, situations. So we're going to go over like different ways that we allow for our power to be given, or the way that we give it to other people.
So, how did this topic end up coming up for you?
For me, a lot of times I'll have sessions and the same things will come up in the session. So I had about like 3 clients that all had the same theme where they were allowing people to get them out of character. And so I,
Mm-hmm.
3 different times I said, okay, well, if you are constantly allowing someone to get you out of character, they're winning. You're handing your power over to them because that's their main goal and objective is to get you out of character. And so that way you are
Mm-hmm.
giving and handing your power over to them. And I said it takes more strength to be calm and not to respond in the way that they want you to respond because you're in control of your power. So
That's right.
that's why, and it came up in 3 different sessions, and then a reel popped up. I'm like, okay, this theme is coming up, and I knew that it wasn't for me because I don't have anything like going on around me. So I'm like, okay, this theme must be for the people. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where it came from.
All right. So for the people. So this is
Mhm.
important. One of the things that good evening, Karen. One of the
Mhm.
things that we talk about is repetitive messages.
Mhm.
And so if you are seeing something over and over again, if you're hearing the same message over and over again, and it's not, it's more like people will say it's a coincidence, we say it's a message. All
Right.
right.
Mhm.
So this is your opportunity to take a look at and explore this topic. And as Deana said, she did the assessment, right? Am I dealing with something where this is what I need to be looking at?
Mhm.
Or is this something that I need to be teaching and sharing with the world?
Mhm.
So when we were deciding what topic to talk about this time around, she was like, I think this is important. It keeps coming up.
Mhm.
All right, let's go. Let's talk about it.
Mhm.
We also have a clip that we'll share with you. It's about 8 minutes. Whether we get through all of it or not, we shall see, because each one of those pieces of that clip we could spend a whole hour
Yeah.
on. So,
Yes.
right. So when we think about power, hey, JJ Hannah. All right. So when we think about power and our personal power, and people taking it away, one of the first things that comes to mind for me is this idea of boundaries.
Mhm.
All right. And so it's very important that we are clear on what our boundaries are. Because if we don't know what our boundaries are, this is what causes people to step over them and bust
Mhm.
through them. Now, the
Mhm.
reality is sometimes we don't know it's a boundary or a boundary violation until somebody crosses it.
Mhm.
Then we recognize, wait a minute, it's making me feel like viscerally, I have a bodily reaction to it
Mhm.
that's letting me know I feel as though someone has come into my personal, private, sacred space, right?
Mhm.
I find myself being defensive. I have a
Mhm.
desire to push this person back. That's a clear way for us to know that someone has crossed a boundary. It's a clear
Mhm.
way for us to know that this is a boundary. Go ahead.
Mhm.
What are you
Mhm.
thinking? What's coming up?
The other thing is if you find yourself angry about the situation like repeatedly over and over and
Mhm.
over again, even after the situation has concluded and it keeps being brought to you. So yes, it
Mhm.
is a boundary violation, but internally it's like it's something that needs to be settled. You're not settled because this person violated you and they crossed that boundary. And so
Mhm.
because your power has been, handed like you handed it over with your visceral reaction, it's like, okay, your body is like letting you know, okay, we need that back. Right. And so
Mhm.
that's where the unsettling comes in. That's where the anger comes in. And it's like you keep thinking about it because you haven't settled. What's coming to me is the score. And it's not like a score like where it's a tit for tat, but it's like
Mhm.
you haven't what am I trying to say? You haven't
I would say
thoroughly
resolve.
right. You haven't resolved the issue. So
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You haven't resolved the issue or the conflict, and this is why conflict resolution is so important. So
Mm-hmm.
many times people will say, "Well, I'm not letting it bother me, or I let it roll off my back." That's not
Right.
resolving something, right?
Right.
That's literally ignoring it and
Ignoring.
avoiding it, right?
Mm.
You ain't even postponing it. So whenever I work with people, I always tell them to write these three words down: ignore, avoid, and postpone, because
Mhm.
so many times people are ignoring and avoiding it. There is
Mhm.
power in postponing something, right?
Mhm.
Every
Mhm.
conversation is not to be had right there in the moment.
For
You want to
sure.
identify the optimal time to have it. So,
Mhm.
even as you said, when someone has manipulated you,
Mhm.
and now you're feeling angry because you recognize that you are doing something that is out of your character.
Mhm.
All right. Then now you're mad at the person, and usually you say, they made me.
Mhm.
And the reality is, they didn't make you do anything,
Right.
because the moment you said they made me, now you became a puppet in their show,
Mhm.
right? You became a television show and they have the remote control. I used to give
Mhm.
my students, when I worked in schools, I used to give them stress remote controls,
Mm.
right? The stress
Mhm.
squeezy ones. And it was like, who's pushing your buttons, right?
Mm.
Who's getting you? What
Mhm.
show are they watching today? Because they sitting back with the remote control, like,
Right. Mm.
and that's giving your power away. Go ahead. What's coming
Yeah.
up for you?
No, I think a lot of times it's just like better, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so the anger is more so like I know better. Like, it's like I know that I shouldn't be doing these things, or I know that I shouldn't allow this person to say or do these things to me,
Mm-hmm.
but we have allowed them to push our buttons. And so because
Mm-hmm.
manipulative people typically know how to push your buttons, they
Mm-hmm.
will. And so it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I shouldn't have that X, Y, and Z, or I shouldn't have even allowed it to get to this point. And so that's where the anger comes in too. It's like, okay, I have to do better. So it's that
Mm-hmm.
accountability, about what you will and what you should and what you should not allow people to do. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I'm glad you said the anger again, because one of the biggest things in all of this is know thyself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yourself, you have to be self aware. And when you have that self awareness and you know that you are not normally and or naturally in a bad mood or
Mm-hmm.
angry, and
Right.
all of a sudden you're feeling that way, this means that you're out of alignment with your
Mm-hmm.
true self.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And this is where now you have to determine, how am I going to get back in alignment with me? And
Mm-hmm.
you also have to truly assess what has caused me to get out of my person. What do people say? Like, don't get me off my square,
Yeah,
right?
don't knock me off my square.
Don't knock me off my square, right? So it
Mm-hmm.
means that you've stepped out of alignment, you've stepped out of your boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And when someone has manipulated you or taken your power, it's almost as if they've pulled you out. So
Mm-hmm.
now the question is, what do you do? How do you get back in, Deana Davis? How do you help your clients?
Well, everything that we're saying, like I say, assess yourself, right? Is it a thing that is it you or is it them? Are you supposed to
Mm-hmm.
be in this relationship with that person?
Mm.
If the theme
Wait,
keeps coming.
let that one sit. Are you supposed to be in the relationship with the person? Hmm. And are you supposed to be in the relationship with the person to that level, that type of
Right.
relationship, right? Go
Mm-hmm.
ahead.
Mm. So I mean, oftentimes when it comes to romantic relationships, we tend to hold on to those for a little bit longer than what we should, and then we let the
Mm-hmm.
friendships go, but we keep the romantic relationships. But when there's constant arguing or there's constant manipulation, or if there, what you say, yikes.
Sierra say,
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
okay.
So
And
when
Shay
there's
say, yes. Go ahead.
listen, when there's constant conflict, I tell my clients, like, a relationship is not supposed to be hard. You're not supposed to
Mm-hmm.
be always arguing. An argument every 2 weeks is not healthy. And some people think that, like, that's not normal. No, it's not.
No.
It's supposed to be easy. But
Yes.
because people's upbringings and how they were raised and how they were talked to as a child, they think that it's normal. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're constantly in conflict with your partner, that's something to look at, and you'd have to assess, like, all right, am I supposed to be in this relationship? And as hard as it is to
Mm-hmm.
let your romantic partner go, possibly, you
Mm-hmm.
have to put yourself first. And that's what I
Mm-hmm.
teach all of my clients, like male and female, like, you putting yourself first is more important than you being in a toxic relationship. So
Mm.
if you are constantly angry, and I told a client the other day, I'm like, that is your body letting you know something is wrong. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're not a typically angry person. And so if
Mm-hmm.
the thought of this one incident is causing you to be angry, then that's something to pay attention to, because that's not your makeup.
That's right.
So
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. It's very important. Shay also put, right, that this is important information when it's dealing with work relationships also.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All relationships.
100%, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Mm-hmm.
so glad that Shay, that you put that there, because so many times people are just thinking romantic. But
Yes.
to Dina's point, right, this is friendships.
Mm-hmm.
This is spiritual and religious institutions.
Yes.
This is family
Family.
relationships. These are friends. These are all right. Anytime you're interacting with someone, it is a relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
those relationships all need to be healthy. They
Mm-hmm.
should be invigorating. They should be helping you to live more
Mm-hmm.
fully, more authentically. They should be challenging you in the sense of helping you be your best self.
And
They should
grow.
not, and grow. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
They should not be degrading or tearing you down, making you feel bad about yourself. It's one thing to be convicted, like, dang, I knew I should have did that. It's
Mm-hmm.
another thing when someone's guilting you and
Yeah.
shaming you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Those are,
Or
go ahead.
also making you feel like what you're feeling isn't accurate.
Well, now, go ahead.
Minimizing your feelings, right? And so
Yes.
that's a very manipulative tactic as well. And it's about us getting in tune with ourselves and knowing instinctually, what is right and what is wrong. And so a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times we go against what we know, because we have
Mm-hmm.
this person who is manipulative and maybe always good at it, or maybe not always,
Mm-hmm.
but most times good at it. And so we
They
go
probably
along with,
skilled.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we go along with what they're saying, but our body is saying, like, okay, no, something is off. Something is off.
Mm-hmm.
Something is off. But
Mm-hmm.
we don't go along with the off. We just
Yes.
continue on with whatever we're
Yeah.
being told.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So this becomes Dr. Wade put up
Hi,
here.
Dr.
Shout out.
Wade.
That's right. Hey, Dr. Wade, if you're looking for a veterinarian in the Philadelphia area or surrounding area, please check out Wincote Animal Hospital.
She's the
Dr. Wade is
best.
there. Yes, she is. All right. So Dr. Wade says, what is the need one is looking for, looking to be filled? Is the unhealthy relationship temporary or superficially fulfilling the unmet need? Bam. Right? So, what are our
Mhm,
needs? And we have to
mhm.
take an honest look at those, right? We have our needs and we have our wants. I used to say to my dad when we would go to bakeries, it was like, I need it. And he's like, girl, you don't
Yeah.
need that cookie. I
Yes.
do. I need it. Right? It's like, no, you want it.
You want it.
And so,
Hmm.
what are those aspects within a relationship that you need? and what are those aspects within a relationship that you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to look at what are you actually getting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the honest inventory. That's the assessment, because sometimes you want stuff from certain people, but
Mm-hmm.
they cannot and or choose not to give it to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we have to learn how to accept that
Mm-hmm. And let it go.
and let it go. That's right. We sing our Frozen song, Let It Go. All right.
And
All
let it
right.
go if that person is not willing to make the necessary changes.
Adjustments. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. I would know.
Mm-hmm.
I was sharing with you that my cousin and I ended up watching the Kirk Franklin documentary
Mm-hmm.
last night. That's about 30 minutes long, and it explores him finding his biological father and his
Yes.
relationship with his biological mother, and him making some very challenging
Mm-hmm.
choices. I mean, and this
Mm-hmm.
is almost real time because he just found out who his biological father was like May 22nd of this
Oh
year.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's everything is real fresh.
Wow.
So, yeah, and he had to make some decisions about the dynamics between he and his biological mother. And I know
Mm-hmm.
these are hard choices. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, the story that he told is not unfamiliar to me and my clients.
Mine neither.
Right.
Very familiar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
it's more common. So the other piece of that, and why I bring that up, is because so many times people will hold things
Yes.
in shame, right? As if they're
Mm-hmm.
the only ones, or in isolation. And you don't have to be. You literally, you are not alone. Yeah, I know y'all
Mm-hmm.
singing the song in your head,
You
right?
are not alone. Right.
Come on, come on. I
Go.
am here with you. Come on, y'all. Go ahead, Rodney. I know you out there singing. All right. So, yes. All right.
Mm,
Jamila comment here. She said, it's going to show. She said, the biggest challenge seems to be the lack of model healthy relationships or attachments early on. If you are never
mhm.
taught what respect and healthy treatment look like, you may accept the bare minimum.
Yes.
Facts.
Hmm.
Facts.
And this is
You wanna rip
where,
off of that?
yeah, this is where therapy comes into play. This is
Mm-hmm.
where being around, having a wisdom circle
Mm-hmm.
of women that you can model. This is you just wanting a change, right? You increasing your confidence and your self esteem and your self worth,
Mm-hmm.
and just wanting different for yourself. And just personally myself, I didn't have an example either, but I knew at a certain point once I kept hitting this brick wall of toxic relationships or negative relationships, it's like, okay, I know how I wanted to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started praying. And I'm like, okay, God, please connect me to someone that is wise and a mother figure and all that. And then boom, I met you. And so with meeting you, it was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I saw the difference in the nature of relationships, like how you interacted with people, how you interact with Mr. Edmond and your clients and everything. So that kind of bumped the ante up for me. It's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is how it's supposed to go. And so I started modeling that in my own way. Like we have two
Mm-hmm.
different styles of doing things, but
Mm-hmm.
the foundation was reset. And so it was
Mm-hmm.
me being open for the reset that allowed me to now pull in the type of relationships that I have now. So
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
takes time, but you just have to place yourself around positive people and remove anyone that is not going in the direction that you want to go in terms of
That's right.
life, career, relationships. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very true. And you talk about the reset during August and September. That's why I started doing the juicing with
Mm-hmm.
Edna, was to do a reset. I knew that
Yeah.
my body needed to do a reset, and I said, let me see what happens from doing this reset. Let me see what happens
Mm-hmm.
by doing this cleanse. And this we do it in all types of ways. People do it social media cleanses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we call it a detox.
Challenges.
We
Mm-hmm.
challenges. These are
Mm-hmm.
all different. You find out what phrasing works for you, what phrasing resonates with you. And even as we're having this conversation now, there are people coming to your minds. I feel like a pastor now. There are people coming to your minds. There are things coming to your heart. There are,
Yes.
right, that
Turn
you
to
know
your
you need to
neighbor
let
and
go
say,
of. Say,
neighbor.
let it
I know.
go. Neighbor, let it go. Come on, put it in the chat. I'm gonna let it go.
Please don't start. Somebody really put something in chat.
But
She
it's
will take
true,
it to church. If
we gonna
those
go
who
to church.
know,
That's right.
those
Y'all
who
better
know,
come
know.
on. Come on. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh gosh.
Let's see. What did Christopher say? He said, as an educator, many of our youth are exposed, subjected to trauma by adults, and then they become adults and have
Yes.
never learned what our healthy relationship is because that trauma has defined them. For
Mm-hmm.
sure. For sure. And we see that all the time. And so, having conversations like this becomes very important. Exposing youth to conversations like this becomes important. I debated my second goddaughter. Both of my goddaughters, they have back to back birthdays. So happy
Mm-hmm.
birthday to both of them. So one's birthday was Saturday. She turned 17, and the other one turned 30 on Sunday. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, do I send it to the 17-year-old? And here I go, yep, you sure do. You know why? Because she's
Yeah.
in the relationship stages.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to make sure she has all of this information so that she doesn't trip in some spaces where I tripped, you
Right.
know.
So she
And
can't say that she doesn't know. Now,
you
if
better
she
believe
doesn't
it.
implement it, that's
That's
something
right.
different. But she has the foundation.
That's right. And a lot of times people say, "Oh, they're too young for this," or what. And my thing is, when are they
Mm-hmm.
supposed to find out? If anything, right? You plant the seed, it's tucked away, and then
Mm-hmm.
it continue to nurture it all along.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
very important information. The other thing is that I want to circle back and highlight is you talked about people who manipulate. There are
Mm-hmm.
some people who are very skilled, and your phrasing was that they are skilled at it, right? Some people are
Mm-hmm.
manipulation experts.
Yes.
And so you recognize that. And so you have to call it what it is. Sometimes you're saying, I don't know, I feel off, right? As Deana mentioned, utilizing your wisdom circle. You run things by people and go, is it just me? This is what
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling. Let me take a look and see what it is. Go
But
ahead.
see, depending on where you are in your
Yes,
journey, right?
yes.
Your people that are around you, they're gonna like they could say, "Girl, you tripping." No, this is the best man that you have been with since 1985. I'm making up a
Mm-hmm.
time, but you
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean. So it really depends on who. And I was only 2 at that time, but it really depends on. Sorry, it depends on who you're asking. You
That's
have
right.
to be very careful,
That's right.
so it may not be your circle. So I was going to ask you,
Mm-hmm.
how do you know,
Mm-hmm.
say if you don't have a wisdom circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you
Mm-hmm.
know when you're being manipulated?
Yeah. So normally your body, this is why it's important to pay attention to your body. Your body will have a visceral reaction. Your stomach may turn, your face may get screwed up. It may not sit well with you. So you
Mm-hmm.
take information in like food. When you eat something that's rotten, spoiled, you
Mm-hmm. Spit it
automatically
back
it's like,
out.
oh, right? It doesn't taste good. It doesn't make you feel good. At
Mm-hmm.
versus like you may take some medicine that doesn't taste good, but you know it's good for you. All
Mm-hmm.
right. And so that's the same way you hear something and it's like, mm-mm. And yeah, right. We were doing that the other day, remember?
Mm-hmm. Wait,
And
with what? We
with
do a lot of
with the,
things.
with the with the little one, with the young one, and she was like, I was like, when the
Mm-hmm.
person asked for $3,
Oh yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, that right there let you know that you were being manipulated. You
Mm-hmm.
were twisting. You were being twisted to think and or do something that you did not want to do or that you
Mm-hmm.
did not feel comfortable doing.
Mm-hmm.
All
Mm-hmm.
right. So we need to
Mm-hmm.
we have to pay attention to ourselves and then we have to be able to stand up for ourselves as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's take a look at this one. So Rodney says, what happens when you get paralyzed with fear, with hope, with knowing, and you feel powerless to move in the direction that could tear you away from what feels like madness? Mm.
That's deep. Go
You
ahead.
want
You start.
you say She served it up to me. She said, "Here, you
Right,
may
I
have the
already
first
knew.
slice at that."
Yes.
All right, so let's break it down. And this is
Mm,
important. All right, this is one of the reasons why we tell people to journal, because
yeah.
when you get, like, say for instance, this question, there's a lot to unpack here. As
Mm,
you're dealing with people, when you are paralyzed by fear, you need
mm,
to unpack it and see what are you fearful of, right?
mm,
Many times the fear is about losing a relationship. The
mm,
fear is about being perceived differently. The fear is about dealing with consequences of an action that you don't know how to deal with, right?
mm,
When we have life events, we pull from our bag of life experiences and attempt to apply what we've already learned to this unfamiliar experience. We
mm,
search inside of our brain and inside of our bodies to say what resonates, what feels familiar to
mm.
me. And then we attempt to apply that ointment to
To
that
that.
situation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when that ointment doesn't work out,
Work.
then
Mm-hmm.
we're fearful because what consequences come from that? So, for instance, if I have a burn and I put some Neosporin, now Neosporin does not pay me any commission yet, but we're happy to be a sponsor for Neosporin. But if Neosporin, right, put it on and it doesn't work the same way, now it's like, oh, am I going to have a rash? Am I going to deal, right? Will I have a
Is my or my
consequence?
skin, yeah, going to be blemished.
Right. Am I
Mm-hmm.
going to
Mm-hmm.
have a consequence that I don't know how to deal with? So now I'm fearful of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm now paralyzed. I choose not to do anything. If I confront, let's take my mother, if I confront my mother about something that she said that I don't agree with, now I'm
Mm-hmm.
used to her yelling and screaming, but if she doesn't yell and scream, now what? How do I deal with that consequence? So that
Mm-hmm.
paralyzes people from action. Next, you want to speak to anything about fear?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm with you. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then next we have hope. Now, hope is powerful because it can get us to move forward. However, we have to make sure that we're looking at hope and not potential, because one of the lessons my mother told me was don't fall in love with potential. Everybody's got
Mm-hmm.
it, but everybody
Mm-hmm.
don't actualize it. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So you can be spending time on potential, and someone has decided that they are not going to utilize that potential.
Mm-hmm.
Hope is not about applying it to the person, it's more about applying it to the situation as well as yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to leave a situation in order for a person to grow. And it's not that that person's going to come back, because you don't want that person in the
Mm-hmm.
version that they are in. You
Mm-hmm.
want the upgraded version of
Version.
them.
Right.
Now, the upgraded version may now be somebody else.
Right. And for
Go ahead.
somebody else. So
Yes, fact,
so I tell
absolute fact.
my clients, and they get so upset with me when I say this, but it's like sometimes people come into your life for a reason, season, and a lifetime, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people are your assignment, right? And they're like, assignment? I'm not a teacher, but you may have been sent to that person's life to teach
That's
them
right.
how to be more loving, how to be responsible, how
Yes,
to start a business. And that
yes,
is solely and strictly your responsibility. And when your
that's right.
assignment is up, your assignment is up. And so you can't get upset when somebody, I didn't pour it into like Mary J. Blige in Wait Until Excel. I didn't help you build this business up. But that was your
Uh-huh.
assignment, like that,
Mm-hmm.
that really was it. Because if you are not clicking with that person, if you're not
Mm-hmm.
elevating and not in alignment, then
Mm-hmm.
that's your indication. You are in alignment for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
You pour into that person what you were supposed to pour into that person. And then
Mm-hmm.
now it's time for them to elevate and go somewhere else. So I always try to encourage them to express gratitude for the time and the energy that you share
Mm-hmm.
with that person. But it's okay to let them go, and it's okay for them to be better. Look at it as if like, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
upgraded you. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's just it. If it's meant for you to come back around to that person, you will.
Mm-hmm.
But to be in a
Mm-hmm.
state of anger because you pour into a person and now they have elevated,
Hmm.
that's a win for you.
Well, and here's the thing. Did you only pour into the person so that they would be with you? Because then now that becomes a matter of
Right.
manipulation.
Right.
All right. So we have to make sure that we're not slipping into the behaviors that we're trying to get out of.
Avoid.
Right.
Yes.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So that
Mm-hmm.
becomes very important. And so getting your power back, we go back to make sure you're knowing yourself. Another way
Mm-hmm.
that you get your power back is making sure that you are dealing with, thank you, is making sure that you are you know what your values are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I want people to take a moment to really think about what are your values. And if you're not
Mm-hmm.
sure, just Google values. Look at core
Mm-hmm.
values: honesty, fairness, integrity,
Mm-hmm.
genuineness, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the values that you're leading your life with? And how are those values showing up behaviorally in your life? And so when you feel as though someone has quote unquote taken your power away, you want to see where are you out of alignment with your core values. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the ways that you get it back is, one, being clear on what your values are, and
Mm-hmm.
two, making sure your behaviors are in alignment with those
Mm-hmm.
values.
Congruent. Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. All right. I see. What do we have here? Amar, hello, Amar. He says we need to talk more about narcissistic manipulation. Although white supremacy is systemic narcissism, narcissists aren't all white people. Definitely. Narcissist knows
Mm-hmm.
no color.
Yeah.
Narcissism, right, knows no color at
Mm-mm.
all. And one of the things about narcissism, it's interesting for me that narcissism is getting so much play these
Yeah.
days. So, narcissism is a personality disorder,
Yeah.
and that's very important. Hello, and it says peace to everyone. All right, it's all right. So, but it's a personality disorder, which implies that someone is wired that way.
Mm-hmm.
And going through school, so for those who don't know, I am a doctor of clinical psychology, and we look at the diagnostic and statistical manual of all the various diagnoses and learn about them. This personality disorders, narcissistic, borderline, conduct disorder, those tend to state that someone is hardwired that way, and they are least resistant to therapeutic interventions. All right. Now, the other piece is that it is important to understand some people have manipulative behaviors that are
Mm-hmm.
not narcissistic.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we cannot say that everyone who's being manipulative is
Is
narcissistic.
narcissist. Mm-hmm.
Right. All right. So we have to be mindful of that. And narcissistic personality disorder is something that does need to be diagnosed by a psychologist or a psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, someone who has narcissistic personality disorder is not going to seek treatment.
No,
So
I
that's
don't
what
need
makes it
that.
very
I don't need
challenging.
help. Yes.
Right, right. And they get a whole bunch of people around them to inflate them. And
Yes.
then they go on a deep dive when they get deflated. And then you see a very deep depression.
Mm-hmm.
But normally they will bounce back because you got a whole bunch of people pumping air into
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Other thoughts that you want to share about this topic before I show a little bit of the clip?
No, I think we hit on a lot of key points. Yeah, so I don't have anything to share right now.
Okay. All right. So we're going to watch a little bit of this clip. If you have other questions or comments, please
Mm-hmm.
continue to put them in the chat. Also, if you haven't followed us on and subscribed to our channels, please take a moment and do that. Obviously, I'm at Ask Dr. Walls 525. Deana,
Mm-hmm.
put your information in the chat and then also tell them as well.
So I am Deana Deana Davis LSW. So that's on. I'm sorry, it's the siren. It's distracting me.
Okay, all right, all right. Here we go here. And be sure to let me know if you can the hear the video when I play it. All right. Dina, can you hear it?
No.
You couldn't hear it at all?
Mm-mm.
Okay, let me go back. Let me stop share and do it again. Sorry about that, y'all. All right, let's see here. Okay, it says share audio. Okay, let's try that again. Any luck?
Mm-mm. I don't hear anything.
Is anybody else? Nope. So you can't hear it, Christopher?
Yeah, no.
No? Okay.
Mm-mm.
All right. That's odd because it says that it says the audio.
It's working properly.
Mm-hmm. That's all
Okay.
right. I'm going to try one more. And if not, I'm not going to keep pressing it because I can
Okay.
accept the sign. I'm going to try one more time. All right. Let's see here.
They said you could put the link in the chat
Okay. Thank
for
you.
them
I
to
will.
watch. You know, if it
Yep.
doesn't
Yep.
go through.
Yep. Thank you, Shay. I'll do that as well. All right. Let's see here. Um, okay. Okay. There we go. What
Dr.
they say?
Wade, she
What you
said
say?
siren in the background because that girl is on fire.
Dr. Wade is hilarious.
Hilarious, okay?
I love it. I love it. All right, here we go. Let's see if that works. We'll try last time, and if not, we'll just pick it up. And we go. Any luck?
Nope.
All right, that's enough. I ain't giving my power away no more with that.
To no YouTube video. No.
Okay, exactly. That's all right. I'll do what was recommended and I will put the link in the chat. So here you go. Y'all can check it out on your own time and bring it up next time. There we go. It's a wrap. All right. So I ain't in the force of nothing.
No,
So,
at
all
all.
right. So, yeah. So, one of the things, as we talked about, we want to make sure that you're not succumbing to guilt trips, right? You want to make sure if you're feeling as though someone is guilting you, pay attention to
Mhm.
that. You may need to, what's my infamous line? You may redefine the nature of your
The
association,
relationship.
right?
Hmm.
You got to redefine the nature of the relationship.
Hmm.
If you're feeling as though someone is constantly, um,
Pulling.
manipulating you, pulling you, twisting
Mhm.
you, attempting you to do things that you do not feel comfortable with. If they're not respecting your boundaries, that's the other thing. So we want you to make sure you're clear on your values. Get
Mhm.
clear on your boundaries. Like I said, sometimes we don't know what our boundaries are until
Mhm.
someone crosses them or violates them. Once it's clear to you that this is a problem, then you need to let the other person know. Because
Mhm.
one of the things is if we don't tell people, they're
Yes.
not going to know. How are they going to
Yeah.
know? How will they
They're
know?
gonna know.
They're
They're gonna know.
right.
People are like, what are they talking about? So, sometimes, a lot of times, we talk in real sounds. So
Yes,
if you know, you know. If you don't, we're sorry.
you got to hop on Instagram. So you know what the reels. Well, they got them on YouTube now too.
Yes.
So I posted the link in the chat room a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
So right, you want to make sure you're not succumbing to someone else's whims and preferences for your life. Now this becomes challenging as well.
Mm-hmm.
We each have okay. I firmly believe that each person has a purpose,
Yeah.
right? I believe that they have a divine design. And as a child, when you're growing up and a teenager, people have ideas for what you may be good at and what you should do with your life. And sometimes it is spot on, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yes. Sometimes it is so far off.
Mhm.
and you spend your time trying to appease
Yes.
and adhere to someone else's vision for your
Yeah.
life,
Mhm.
right? How you should look, how you should act, how you should dress, what type of profession you should have, and so forth. And so you have to do this assessment. And some of the courageous conversation is to be able to articulate that you have a desire, you have a dream, you have something that you need to assess and see, right? You got to
Mhm.
try it out and see and not be manipulated by someone else because they're literally living their life
Mhm.
and you have yours to live as well. Go ahead. What's going
Mm.
through your mind?
No, I just think of like my children. I think of clients that I have that are like in their college age where they're trying to get their footing and figure out what they want to do with their lives, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
with my own children, well, I'll say with my own childhood, it was very strict. It was very rigid. It was very much like you have to do this, that, that. And a lot of times I didn't want to do those things. And so I always
Mm-hmm.
said that when I had my own children, I would allow them autonomy, not full autonomy, but they have a lot of freeway or leeway to
Mm-hmm.
express. And you know that Camille likes to
And
express
explore.
herself and
Mm-hmm.
explore. And
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
not. I think with me growing up, it came off or it was deemed like disrespectful. And
Mm-hmm.
so I always tell my children like you can say things without being disrespectful. You can express how you feel to an adult without being disrespectful. And so
Mm-hmm.
I have a client that is going through that rough patch with his mom, and his mom wants
Mm-hmm.
him to be a particular thing or go to school for a particular thing, and he's like, I don't want to do that. I just want to be an entrepreneur. But
Mm-hmm.
to certain generations, it's like an entrepreneur, like you can't make
Mm-hmm.
no money doing that. You need something solid. So it's that
Mm-hmm.
autonomy and you stepping into your own yourself and your own purpose and
Mm-hmm.
just helping to shape people, even as
Mm-hmm.
adults. Like we have some clients that are like childlike in a sense, where it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, you're helping them to um, figure themselves out and
Yep.
reset themselves. So it's
Yep.
like, okay, this is a fresh start. I always say this is like the red Staples button. You hit
Mm-hmm.
this, it's just your day one of
Mm-hmm.
the rest of your life. And so,
Yep.
what does that look like for
Yep.
you? So,
Yep.
yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Definitely. It's
Mm,
also important for you to assess yourself. Are you changing your goals based
mm,
on other people's opinions,
right. Mm,
right? Your goals, your life choices, so forth. And so we were talking about this even this week in the past couple of days. So your
mm,
girl over here will be
mm.
hosting. Yes, the Loving My Curves red carpet and VIP for Philly Fashion
Why
Week.
did your tone change up like this?
Listen,
Like,
because that's what you do when you are a red carpet host.
saucy.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, bring in all the sauce. So
Okay, New York.
that was a shout out to my Brooklyn in the
Right.
house. Look, so so yeah, so this weekend, so on Saturday, I will be hosting for Philly Fashion Week the Loving My
Mm,
Curves. Shout out to Dr. Marquita Williams, who is the CEO of Loving My Curves. And she reached out to me last Thursday and asked me to do this. And I'm like, oh my goodness, all right, Dream Team Glam Squad, what in the world am I supposed to wear? And so here I am putting myself, right, and other people's thoughts and opinions on how I should look and how I
mm,
should dress in that moment
mm.
because thank you, because that's not my area, right?
Yes.
I know where I'm strong and I know where I am a flowering fashionista,
A budding,
a
a
budding,
budding.
flowering, and blooming. So,
We're going through a bloom
yes,
process.
yes. So I turn to those who this is their thing, right?
Mm.
So I go to True Designs by Deana. I go
Let
I
that
go
be me.
yes, that is her. I go to Wellness of the Womb. I go
Hmm.
to Q Blaze and I call this is my glam squad. I call them and I said, what in the world am I supposed to do? Like help.
Yeah.
So now these are Rodney said, yes, you are. Thank you, Rodney. So, and Rodney asked that key question that night. He was like, why are you not showing more of this to the world? And I was like, all
Mm,
right, Rodney, I'm going to sit with that question, right? I
yes.
coach
Thank
people
you,
to do it all
Rodney.
the time. So shout out to
We've
you,
been
Rodney.
we've been asking that, Rodney, for the last year. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes. So, but there's times where you can listen to other people's opinions, but Deana did to me what I do to her. And she said, now this is what I give you. Now, how do we make it yours? Right?
Yes.
These are my recommendations. Use your own words. Go ahead.
In terms of like styling you.
Yeah.
So I was very conscious. Like I knew I wanted her to still feel comfortable, right? Because you have to feel comfortable with fashion. You have to feel comfortable. And so I knew the vision that I had for her, but I wanted her to feel comfortable. So it's like, okay, we went to the first boutique. We got the first shirt. I could have taken it. She could have been va va voom, but I know
Hmm.
that she's not there, right? And so I just kept
Not in
asking her,
public. Not in
not
public.
listen, I don't know what goes down behind closed doors, okay? But I just kept including her into the process. And I
Hmm.
don't know how it is really with other big celebrities. And she kept handing it over to me. And I'm like, no, you are a part of this process because you're wearing it. So I still wanted to incorporate pieces of you in the
Hmm.
process. So I kept asking,
Hmm.
how do you like it? Do you feel comfortable? Which one do you like better? I just gave her the canvas, but it was like, okay, now put your splashes of whatever in it, and there were some things that she was like, I love these. And I was like, no, we're not wearing that. But overall, I think that we came to a nice blend of, fashion
Hmm.
and you in this blooming process within
Hmm.
fashion. So yeah, she was pretty. You were pretty open, which I like that. I thought it was gonna be a little bit resistant. I'm like, okay, we gotta do makeup. What's going on with the hair? We got to get the nails and the shoes. But you were very
Hmm.
open, so it made it easy. But
Hmm.
I wanted you to feel
Hmm.
as you are a part of the
The
process.
process.
So
And
yeah.
so that's key. I wanted you to highlight that because when we're saying be careful of other people's opinions, you see how she kept me in the process? She took me. She took inventory of things that I like. She took inventory of my comfort versus when other people are manipulating and trying to take your power away, they're silencing your voice instead
Right.
of amplifying and growing your voice. She's
Right.
growing my voice, as all of them. It's three of them who
Mhm.
work with me
Mhm.
constantly. And so they are constantly amplifying my voice and asking my thoughts and opinion in that
Mhm.
space. All
Mhm.
right. And so this is what we want to do. We want to make sure that people are amplifying your voice, not shutting you down, not
Mhm.
silencing you. All right.
Mhm.
And so this is what we're talking about as far as reclaiming your power. We
Mhm.
also mentioned as far as like people who want to bring out the worst in you.
Mhm.
So I tell people all the time, I'm not your ride and die. I am your ride and live. Right? If you're looking for a ride or die, I'm not her because
Ain't
I'm
it?
going to be the one to tell you, no, you're popping off. That's ridiculous. Make a better
Mhm.
choice. Use self control, right? No, don't give your power away. That's
Mhm.
me all day, every day.
Mhm.
And so if people are encouraging you to make choices that are not good for you, then
Yeah.
that's something that you need to take a look at. Go ahead.
No, I just think about the people that are no longer in my life because that is their go-to. And
Mm-hmm.
I was watching something earlier. It was a meme or a reel with Tyler Perry, and he was saying you're going to spiral, but you're going to spiral up. And when you spiral up, you are going to lose people that are not spiraling up with you. And so
Mm-hmm.
that made me think about people who are very low vibrational. They want to pop off, and you know me when we first
Mm-hmm.
met. I was the pop
Mm-hmm.
off queen. I was very
Mm-hmm.
respectful, but if you popped off of me, I was popping back. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But
Poppy
now
McPoppins.
listen, but
Mhm.
now I'm delivered from that.
Yes.
But I think about the people who are still ready to pop off and the fact that we're no longer friends and we just drifted apart, right? It was no beef, it was nothing that was done, or no argument or anything. It just was like, okay, your time with that person is up because I started
Mhm.
elevating. So
That's right.
that manipulative energy and that people that want to stay in that space, you have to be mindful of that too.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think she's laughing at Poppy
Me.
McPoppins. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That's her.
Need to pop off. All right, come
Yes.
on. So now, the other thing we want to be mindful of is that you don't want to believe in your own capabilities and potential. When
You
you
don't
are
want to
down,
believe in it?
you don't want to believe in this is a way in which you give your power away,
Okay.
right? You are downplaying yourself,
Okay.
right? And so sometimes people like to use, and I know this is a whole conversation for another show. A
Mm,
lot of people like to jump on this imposter syndrome
yes.
phrase, and you know it drives me bananas, right?
Hmm. It's you,
Because
girl. It's you. No.
right,
Go ahead.
because I believe that we are more capable than we allow ourselves to believe in ourselves.
Hmm.
All right. In an infamous, fantastic number one selling adult children's book, The Adventures of Froggy T and Bunny, there is a line that says, I see you and see more in you than I think you are seeing, right? You have to believe in your capabilities. This is critical. Now, you can grow your capabilities. Nobody's saying that you're at full capacity. So
Hmm.
I'll go back to when you and I met and we had some professional presentations to do.
Hmm.
And I'm like, come on, let's go. And you, yep, that's how she was.
Like, girl, I'm not doing that. I will click this. I will hit this PowerPoint from behind.
So that you can talk. And I would pass the mic
Right.
over. You talk about this. You
Oh my
say
gosh.
this.
I would be so annoyed. Like, I don't want to do that.
And now here she is. She does live. She does reels. She does them by herself. She does media calls her. She does panels. She does all of these things in what, 4 short years?
They felt long.
But yeah, you knew your capabilities. You knew it was in you. You
No,
trusted.
I didn't know.
I
You
did.
knew.
Let, and let me tell you why I say you knew. Because you said to me, if you give me time,
Yeah.
if you didn't know that was in you, you couldn't have said to me, if you give me time.
So I knew it was in me, right? I will say
Yes,
that. It was the resistance because it's new and it's different, right? And I had
yes.
using the proper words, okay? So I know you're gonna say use your
Hmm.
words, this incredible
Yes.
amount of stage fright. And you
Hmm.
will always talk to me and you say, well, what is it? What is it? Like, and I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, well, I need more time to prepare. Then it was like,
Hmm.
okay, well, do you feel as though you don't know the information? Because you do. And then we got into the space of like, it's so many people watching me, so
Hmm.
we just kept breaking it
Chipping it away.
down, right?
Hmm.
Like one layer at a time. And
Hmm.
so, even with like doing reels and lives, like 2 3 years ago, I'm not doing no reel. Are you crazy? I'm not talking in front of no camera, but I just started practicing, and it's me pushing myself and motivating myself because I knew I saw the vision for myself. And so it's
That's
like,
right.
okay, I have to keep working at these things if I want to attain,
That's right.
the vision that was so clear to
Yeah.
me. So yeah, it's the
So,
push, the
yes.
drive.
And so that's one of the main things that you just said is the vision. And
Yeah.
so we encourage you all to take time to envision yourself, envision your life, envision your dream life, your greatest life.
Yes.
My thing is Ephesians, for those who read the Bible, Ephesians 3, verse 20 says that God does it better than you could ever dare to dream or imagine.
Hmm.
So that's the life that I envision constantly
Hmm.
because I know that if I can see myself in that vision, then it's just a matter of moments.
Right.
And all jokes aside, with the whole Philly Fashion Week, because I've been working with the three of them for, oh, I mean, what we say about almost a year
Hmm.
now,
Hmm.
right? And it's been something that is like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Shay said it is Ephesians 3, verse 20.
Hmm.
Ephesians 3, verse 20. There we go.
Hmm.
Um, and it says that God does it better than you could ever than you could ever dare to think, dream, or imagine. And so
Mhm.
my thing is, if I think about it, right? If I envision my greatest life and now God is going to do it better than I could ever imagine, then
Mhm.
it's fantastic, right?
Right.
But
Mhm.
I must first have the vision. I know in
Mhm.
Habakkuk 3, it says, write the vision, make it plain, right?
Mhm. And watch
So,
it.
and watch, right? So it's putting all of these pieces together.
Mhm.
And so now it's working towards it.
Right.
So I have been working with Deana and Shanae and Quinn for the past year, working on different styles
Styles. Mhm.
outside of my professional Dr. Wall's uniform
Mhm.
style. And so looking at that, and then it's like, okay, now I have to start putting it into practice. I can't
Mhm.
just talk about it. So I was telling Deana, I started making sure that I was getting dressed every day. So somebody shows up, if I need to stand up and go to the whiteboard, right?
Yeah.
I'm buying new pieces and putting them in my collection. So when I get called to do certain things, I'm ready.
Right.
And then the moment I did it and really became conscious about it, then boom, I get this phone call at 9:45 on a Thursday night. And
Mhm.
it was like, yes, this is, as Deana said to me, she's like, well, you've been calling it in. Yeah,
Mhm.
this is what I've been calling in. So you take the time to envision what it is that you want, and then you put the work in towards it.
Right.
Deana talks about self love. And
In the
so
blueprint.
I was getting ready to say, and she's
Mhm.
about to tell you about the blueprint for self love. This
Mhm.
is something that she envisioned for herself, and now here we are, cycle 8. So, give the people a little information about that as we get ready to wrap up.
Well, I want to piggyback off what you said about the
For
vision
sure.
and
Yes,
you creating your greatest life and
yes.
me creating a program of the blueprint for self love with emphasis
Hmm.
on you creating the blueprint. So the greatest life and
Hmm.
the blueprint are both visions for yourself, right?
Yes,
It's just two different great
yes,
therapists.
yes.
But my vision for the blueprint is like, okay, you have to have a blueprint of what you want. And
Hmm.
so with you creating your vision, you have to put in the work. And so the workers are the work. If you're building a house, I always use the house as my analogy. And it's like, okay, what's the foundation like? What area are you in? What type of wood are you using? So all of these things make up the component of your blueprint. And then the house is you
Hmm.
internally. So that's the self-love. And so
Whose
I created a
house?
program,
I'm sorry.
Ren's
Whose
house,
house?
but you know,
Your
it's your
house.
house. But so the Blueprint for Self Love is a program that I created for women to help you get to your core, yourself. And a lot of times, especially with African American women, we're not taught to love ourselves. We're taught to love everyone else. And so it's a 6 week course that takes you from the beginning to like I want to say midway point because everyone that goes to the cycle, they always want a cycle too.
Okay.
So I think that's a good thing. But it
Hmm.
is a very impactful empowerment group and it's very intimate. It's held via Zoom. Cycle 8 is starting October the 1st. So it runs from October the 1st
Hmm.
to November the 5th, sorry, from
Hmm.
11 to 1. And it's out every Sunday. So we go through different group activities. It's very interactive. They have a digital the self-love challenge workbook that we go
Hmm.
along with as well. Each member they have access to like the self-love socials after. So the goal of the group was to create a community, right, of women, like-minded women that are, you know, ready to grow and heal and love themselves. So that's my baby.
And how do people, if they want to find out more about the Blueprint for Self Love, where do they need to go? How do they get in contact with you?
They can go to my website. It's www.deanaldavis. Deana is spelled Deana L Davis, Davis.com. You can also email me at clinicianddavis@gmail.com. And it's all over my social media handles, so my pages. So on Instagram, and I put everything in the chat. Instagram is Deana Davis underscore LSW, and the same for TikTok, Deana Davis underscore dot, I mean, no dot LSW. So
Okay. And your books?
my book. So I have a 30-day self-love challenge workbook. It takes you through 30 days of loving yourself, and there's journal prompts for each day just to have you do a deeper dive into, the self-love
Oh,
journey. So I created a
mhm,
book during COVID when we could not go outside. So it was a pivot from the group. And so I wanted to still give women the opportunities to still, indulge in a journey. But since we couldn't be in a group setting, I created a book. So I also
mhm,
have How to Heal from a Heartbreak, which is a digital journal, also available on my website. So everything is
mhm,
available through DeanaL.com.
mhm. So, Give from Brooklyn says Blueprint for Self Love is a huge, courageous move to a great life. Create non negotiables. You create standard for yourself and embracing the power of no with no explanation to why to others. Definitely. Thank you.
Yes, thank you
Yes.
so much.
Yes. So, yeah. So, very, very important program. Now, would you say the book, um, both of your books, would you say, even though they were written with women in mind, would you say that there's definitely tools for males?
Yes, for sure. I teach the same the same techniques that I teach my women, I teach my men. I'm very inclusive in that regard, and
Mm-hmm.
I let men know you deserve love too. So it's not just
Mm-hmm.
about women. Women happen to be like my target audience and my niche, but for
Mm-hmm.
my male clients, yes, I teach them the same techniques and the same. I treat them the same. So
Yes.
yes.
Yes. All right, fantastic. So, yes, please, I put her website in the chat. Be sure to check her out. Be sure to follow her on all social media platforms as well.
Yes.
For those who know me, the easiest way to get a hold of me, if you know me, you just text me. Um, but also, you can reach out to me via my website, AskDrWalls.com. I just put the link there. You
Mhm.
can also see my books. So I have The Greatest Soul Journey. And as Deana mentioned, The Greatest and The Blueprint, two different words, same thing. It's
Mhm.
about you, right?
Mhm.
And what you've been divinely designed to do. And The Greatest stands for God restores excellence, activates talents, encourages spiritual transformation. Again, that's God restores excellence, activates talents, encourages spiritual transformation. And the Greatest Soul Journey is a workbook style journal as well. It gives you food for thought and then it gives you space to answer some questions that have been directed for you. Live by the Spirit is my second book, and this one is just patterns and lessons that I've learned in life, and then I give you space to see what triggers inside of you. So, again, workbook style for you to write down your thoughts and capture it in real time. And then I have my new, again, I am the self proclaimed number one adult
Whoop,
children's book author in the multiverse. So I'm claiming all spaces. Um, so and those are my adventures of Froggy T and Bunny, a hip hop tale. So the first book is The Reunion, which is about really knowing yourself. And usually I say faith and friendship, but that faith is really about trusting
whoop.
yourself and knowing what it is that you need to do. And friendship, the second one is Bunny gets bullied, and she gets bullied by the Bully brothers. And so it looks at how it impacts her emotionally, physically, how she turns to family and friends, and ultimately discovers how to empower herself.
Mhm.
The third one is Feeling Feelings. This one just came out in April. And this one is about how Froggy T wakes up in a bad mood and he's frustrated. And then his bad mood touches Bunny, and now she's in a bad mood. And so they're both trying to figure out how do you navigate all of these feelings. So,
Mhm.
literally, feeling feelings. And then, hot off the press, come on, give me a drum roll,
I
Lena.
don't know how
There we go. In a tambourine shake
to.
is Froggy Fu and Mungu. Woo,
Yes.
woo. So when just came out the other day, I have not made any public statements yet, so y'all are getting it.
Yes.
And this one is about Froggy T's response to when Bunny was bullied. So these
Mm.
two go together. All right.
Okay.
And so you can find out about Froggy Fu and learn about the backstory of Froggy T and about how he used to be a bunny and his road to redemption and claiming his true self, right?
Mhm.
So, this is where, similar to tonight's topic, where he had been manipulated by some life circumstances and made some choices, but then said, no, let me tap in and find my authentic self.
Mhm.
There's a couple things that are very unique about my books. One of them is that there is a glossary at the end of every book.
Mhm.
And I was told by a very cool 11-year-old that that took my books to top tier status. So, so I was like, oh, they were blown away when they was like, you got a glossary in your book? And so, and they're a very intelligent student. And the fact that they said that they learned words in that they didn't know before. So that was very important to me as a former early childhood and elementary teacher and an adult literacy teacher. I created
Yeah.
these books with all of those audiences in mind because I think it is important to push the vocabulary. The other thing that is interesting about my books is they're all lyrical in nature. And so you find the rhyming pattern. So that's part of the hip hop piece to it. Also, the fact that they're a frog and a bunny and they just hip characters that hop, of course.
Mhm.
And then the other thing about my books is that there's processing questions and activities in the back of each book. So you can find all of those on my website, and all the books come in print as well as digital audio book, illustrated with voiceovers. And the first one, the reunion, also comes in animation, and all of them also are ebook as well. And all those links are on my website. So, anything, any other closing thoughts that we need to touch on before we sign off?
No, I think we're good.
I think we are too. Well, as always, we thank you all for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again on the first Tuesday of the month.
Mhm.
I will be doing another podcast this Thursday called Stronger Together with
Mhm.
my hubby hubs, brother Ed Herman. And so we'll be looking at the power and the importance of relationships and the reality that we are stronger together. So be sure to join us, as they say, back at this same bat channel at the same bat time. So that'll be on YouTube at Ask Dr. Walls 525 at 8 p.m. this Thursday. I will send out reminders and post links on all social media. Please be sure, as I said before, subscribe to our channels here as well as Instagram and TikTok and wherever else we exist in the world. And just keep up with what's going on. We have a lot of wonderful things that we're doing and really just wanting to help people to truly tap into their greatest.
Blueprints.
All right, y'all. Until we meet again, God bless and continue to live your greatest life. See ya.
Bye.